So we understand that the Cobra meeting is currently taking place. This is ministers and security experts. What do you make of what we've heard from Theresa May so far in terms of how security changes in the UK? She said enough is enough. We tolerate extremism too much. What does any of that mean for the way daily lives are lived here?
It was quite a bold speech, and she definitely said that this will be a new departure. New policies will have to be implemented because what's happened before hasn't worked. I think we can't disassociate it from the context we're in currently. She's fighting a general election campaign, which isn't going as well for her as she expected. And so I think she's trying to show that she's just much tougher than the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn. It may help her, but also she is taking a bit of a risk, because who's been in charge of security in the UK for the past 6 years as Home Secretary and then as Prime Minister? It's been Theresa May. So voters may ask what she's been doing so far. It is also a problem that so far what she's announced hasn't come with much detail. I was listening to the Culture and Communications Secretary this morning, who said that we would need to find new ways of looking into the safe spaces terrorists have on the internet to communicate, trying to look into encrypted messages, and she didn't really have much detail on how this would actually be technically possible.
Is she, is the government, obviously they talked a lot about internet companies and what they're doing. Are we talking then about the end of end-to-end encryption in messaging? Is that really what this boils down to? And if so, cooperation transatlantically with the United States is going to be really key here, as many of the companies concerned are American.
Well, absolutely.
And there have been tensions there recently.
That's the intention that they're showing, at least they have been showing over the past 36 hours. I just simply have my doubts about whether it is technically possible. In the United States, you may hear certain political leaders also criticizing the easy availability of these encrypted technologies, but many security specialists insist that this isn't the way to go, and I'm really doubtful that this is actually what will happen in the UK. I think we will retain access to encrypted messaging services.
And in terms of the political scene, then, you say that security is clearly a big part of this. We heard that from Downing Street. We also heard that from Jeremy Corbyn yesterday. How will this play out at the ballot box? Because the polls narrowed in the most recent couple of weeks. But when you look at those questions around defence, around who will protect you from threats, the Conservative Party has a decent lead in that type of polling.
Yes, and I agree with you. This should be helpful for Theresa May. It's what people like myself, pundits, would usually expect. But this has been an extremely surprising and unusual election, and it seems the electorate is ready to consider other ways of dealing with these problems. I think it's interesting that the electorate is willing to listen to Jeremy Corbyn's arguments even on foreign policy. You know, why not look at this in a more holistic fashion? Since we are talking about terrorism and instability in the Middle East, why not have a complete change of policy? And that is something that Labour, or the current Labour leader, would be more likely to offer. I still think it's more likely that Theresa May wins a majority, just simply not the overwhelming majority that she would have expected at the beginning of this campaign, partly because Jeremy Corbyn, a very unlikely leader of the opposition, is doing much better than expected.